Hello guys, this is your friend Cindy and this is the part 2 of our series, the create our first platformer game in Godot engine. So we are going to do 3 things in this video. The first thing is we are going to discuss and work on our collisions, okay, the layer in the mask. The second thing is we're going to add a visual to our game. The third thing is we are going to create our enemy. Alright, so we are going to create an AI later. So good luck to all of the viewers. Thank you if you click this video. Just watch through the end if you want to know how to use some of the nodes in Godot. Okay, let's start. So first, let's discuss how our collisions work in Godot. So here we have the tile map. The tile map uses collision here, as you can see. So and in the collision property, you can see here the layer and the mask. Basically, the layer is what layer our collision belongs to, and the mask is what layer our collision is going to detect. Okay, so we are at the layer 1 and we are going to detect a layer 1. Now, why are we detecting the player? Let's go to the player node, and you can click the collision here as well. So the player is layer 1 and the mask of the player is layer 1. Basically, it's going to collide back and forth. Okay, not really back and forth, but it will collide. All of things will collide. So the thing that we can do here is to create a let's go to the general. Let's go here at the bottom, the 2D physics. Okay, so here the 2D physics, we can create or we can put names to layer 1, 2, 3 and so on. So for instance, we can rename our layer 1 to be player, and we can put all of the layer of the player to the player layer here. The layer 2 we're going to set that as world, and later we can have the layer for our enemy. So for now, we're just going to use this 3 layer, and let's close that. And here at the player layer, we're going to make our layer player. We're going to select the player layer, and we are not going to mask for the world. Alright, so we're just going to leave it as blank. And here at the world, where's the world? Yeah, in the tile map. Just go for the layer session. You're not going to set this as world. You're just going to mask. You're just going to mask a player. Okay? So when you run a program, it will still the same, but then it's more of a clear collision now, right? So if we, for instance, we deselect this mask, it will not mask anything. So though our player will just go through the block. Okay, so let's mask the player there. Okay, so you can actually use this later on. We are going to make some many area 2Ds in our enemy, and we can actually use that. The next thing that we are going to do is create a new visual to our game. So let's create a new visual. Let's create a tree to our game. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder here. It's going to be object folder. Object folder will contain a new scene, and it's going to be dead tree scene. The dead tree scene will have a 2D node 2D, and it's going to be dead tree, and it will basically have a sprite. Okay, so the sprite node is basically just you can drag an image here at the texture, and it will show there. So I'm going to go for my resource, and here at my objects, I have here an image, and I'm going to drag it here at the texture. And it's so big. So this is our screen, Windows screen, and this is how big our dead tree right now. So I'm going to go for transform and scale it to 0.3 or 0.2, maybe 3 or so. Right? So now let's try to add that to our test world. So to add that, just instance that to test world. So instance the dead tree, and let's drag it here. So to drag it, to make it go here, just on this, and then you can drag it again. Still the same, I guess. It's still the same. It's not really that center, but we can just do something in that later. So it doesn't really suit our art style. So our art style is like monotone art style. We just have few colors, and many of our colors are black, and the background is going to contrast to our color. So what we can do here is go to the dead tree, click the visibility, and select the self modulate. Go modulate the color to something blackish, depending on your preferences. And after that, it will just blend on the game, right? So now we have like a visual, more visuals there. It doesn't really have any collision or so. Okay, so as you can see, our player is at the back of the tree, and we don't want that. So the thing that we can do here is make our player render after the dead tree. So when you run our game, it will be rendered after the dead tree is rendered. So it will be at the top, alright, at the outside the dead tree. The problem with this is now we can add more trees by duplicating it or so. Duplicate that, Control D, and just drag that like that. The problem with this is you can't minimize all of them all at once. So if you have a big map and you have 100 of this, you can easily fetch some of your nodes such as your player, right? So that would be a problem. The thing that you can do here is add a child scene, which is the Y sort scene. Okay, and then drag all of this. So shift, hold shift, click here, and drag all of this. Oops. My mouse is broken. Drag all of this inside the Y sort, and just change the name of the Y sort to anything you want. So I'm just going to name it objects, and then you can minimize that, go after the object, and then you will have a visual output such as this one. Okay, we are going to add more visuals here, not a more visual, but let's just add here another node from GODot. It's called particles. So particles 2D, I'm not really good at doing particle stuff, but I am clearly studying about this, so I may be not a very good one in terms of making particles. So for now, let's set the amount to 25. Emitting, of course, leave it as on, and go here in the process material property, click the empty, and create a new particles material. Now click the particles material, and then you can have a whole bunch of properties here. So I'm just going to go for the emission shape. So as you can see there, it's emitting a particle. I'm going to go for emission shape, and here for now it's point, so it's going to emit at a single point there. I'm going to make it a sphere. Let's make a radius bigger. Alright, so now it's look like a snow. Looks like a snow right now. So let's go for the gravity. Let's make the gravity 0. So now it doesn't fall, right? So it looks like firefly. Okay, so you can go to the time and adjust their lifetime if you want. If you want a 2 seconds lifetime, you can do it like that. And you can also change the amount here if you want many of the particles. 30 or something. So then the other thing that you can do here is the orbit velocity. So the orbit velocity is going to like circle. So I'm going to set it as 0.5. I guess no, 0.1. So it's like orbiting. And the randomness, just set the randomness to 1. So it will be random and not be static. Okay, so just go to amount, make the amount 50. There. And then you can set the how big your particle is here in the scale. Okay? So you can set it as 3 if you want it bigger. So I'm going to set it as 2 and have it randomize itself. Or so. Now we're going to go for U variation. No, the color. Just click the color ramp, empty here, new gradient, create new gradient. After that, click the gradient here, new gradient. A lot of thing happens. But then here, we can now select our gradient. We can make this gradient and then other one for bluish and other one for like red or so, like that. So now when we run a program, we can have like a tree full of fireflies there or so, right? So it's visually attracting, and it's like for the purpose of that. I'm gonna go X this. I'm going to my test world and I'm going to delete this tree. I'm just going to have a one tree. Okay, this one. The next thing that we are going to do is the hardest one of the 3 things that I have said earlier. We are going to create an enemy. Okay, our enemy is basically a creeper from Minecraft, like that. So it's going to like roam at the area, and then if it detects the player, it's going to go for the player. It's going to make itself go kaboom. Okay, so let's create that right now. So here I'm going to add a new folder. It's going to be the enemy folder, and here the enemy, let's create a new scene. It's going to be boomer. Okay, I'm going to make the parent scene of the boomer as kinematic body 2D because I want the boomer to move from place to place. Rename that, and this boomer will take a collision shape 2D. So the boomer for now doesn't have any images, so I'm going to add an animated image, animated sprite. Let's see if I have resources for that. Enemy? No, I don't have the resources for my boomer. Okay, let me just get my resource. Let me check this one. So I have added my resource on my test scene. I guess this is my resource. Where is that? Mage bullet? No. The mage. This is it. Yeah. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go for my file, and could do platformer, go for resources, enemy, and I'm going to paste it there. Okay. So now I have my resource here. Okay. Add a new sprite frames. And after adding that, just select this. Go for your resource and select your resource. Now it is vertically 4, horizontally 2. So let's set the vertically 2 and horizontally 4. So just select all of them, and then check the playing here. Configure speed however you want. So it's like that. Okay. The next thing is we're going to actually add the boomer to our scene here. So to add that, I'm going to add a new y sort. No. Add a new child scene and it's y sort. I'm going to name that enemy. And I'm going to instance our boomer scene. Let's drag this to here. Okay, for now it doesn't do anything. Let's check that. Okay, it doesn't do anything for now. It doesn't even have a collision shape. So let's give it a collision shape. Click the collision shape, add a shape here. You can add anything you want. If you want your collision shape to be rectangle, you can make it rectangle. If you want it to be different, you can make it. Okay? So you can adjust it however you want. Just go to the boomer. And then here the collision, it's going to be at the enemy layer. And it's going to check the player. I don't think so. So if it's mask the player, they will collide to each other. Like this. Right? Yeah, I guess we'll leave it at as that. Let's go to the test world and let's not let the enemy go through our tiles. Okay, so we're going to mask the enemy as well. So now that it's all set up, let's configure our boomer. So things that we need to our boomer is a script, enemy boomer GD create, and after that we're going to declare a variable here. So our boomer needs a behavior, right? So here we're going to create an enum. So this enum is basically going to return an int. For instance, let's say I'm going to give our boomer 3 behavior. The first is going to select point. So our boomer is going to select a point that he can go to. The next thing is going to move to that point, and the third thing is going to chase our player. So there is a function in GODot called func ready, and it is basically going to call or going to be executed when the boomer node is ready on the test world. For instance, let's print I'm ready. And when we run our main scene, which is a test world, it's going to print the I'm ready scene there. Okay, so it's only going to execute once. So here, let's check what is the value of our select point, of our move, and chase. Alright, so their value is just 0, 1, 2. They're not actually string, they're just int, returns int. And here we're going to create a new variable which is named as state. And it's going to have select point as its initial value. So after that, let's pass the ready for now. So after that, we're going to declare a physics process to our boomer. Physics process, and if our state is equal to select point, then do something. If, let's copy this. Nope. Alright. If our state is equal to move, then do something. And if it's equal to chase, then you have to do something. Or so. Now, our state is by default select point, right? So it's going to execute all of the codes here in this if statement here. So we are going to make we're going to make our function for this state. Okay, so func. Wait. Oops. func select point state, and what we're going to do here is select a point from our initial position relative to our test world. So for instance, we have here the initial position, and what we're going to do is randomize and select a point in the range of like 200, so it can go anything within the range. Okay, so we're going to declare few variables here. First is the point range, and it's going to be equal to, no, it's not vector, it's going to equal to 200 for now. The next is our var new point, so it's equal to vector2, that's 0, and other one is our init position equal to vector2.0 as well. So we are going to initialize this variable here at the ready function. Init position is going to be equal to global position. Okay, so here we are going to make some calculations. Okay, wait for a while, I have some problem in my mic. Okay. So here we are going to make some calculations here. So, but first, let's make a no. Let's just declare this method here at our select point. Okay, so if we are at the select point state, we are going to execute this at our physics process. So it's going to execute again and again. So what we're going to do here is create a new point. All right, it's going to create a new point. It's like a velocity. By the way, let's create a velocity right now. Velocity is equal to vector2.0. Okay, so here we are going to calculate for our new point. But first, let's create a randomizer. It's going to randomize value of either -1 or +1. So we're going to create a variable randomizer is equal to rand range -1 to 1. So it's going to randomize between -1 and 1. So the result is float, and it's going to like have a point. It's not going exactly 1 and -1. It's going to point between them two. And what we're going to do here is create our direction variable, which is going to have which is going to have a -1 if the randomizer is less than 0. That means it is a negative value. Else, it's going to return a +1. So here, we can get our direction if it's either left, negative, or right, the positive. The next thing that we have to do is create a new point here. So new point is equal to vector2, and it's going to have our global variable. So a global variable of the init post. So here we got init post that x. All right, so I have another variable here. It's going to be speed 250 for now. So init post variable, and it's going to be times by init post. Okay, so plus our range. Okay, so what is the name of our range there? So our point range. So it's going to add from the init post But before it adds the point range, it's going to times by the direction first. Alright, and then here at the y velocity y, it's going to have a same formula. There. So int pos y plus point range times direction. So it's either going to go left or right. Okay? It depends on the direction if it returns negative or positive. And the randomizer, sorry. I have here, so we have 500 here. It's either going to return, or either going to minus 500 or add 500. So that means its only direction is going to left and right. So we're going to fix that later, but for now, that's our new point. Okay? So after calculating the new point, what we are going to do next is change our state to move state. Now, if we change our state to move state, this code is the one that is going to execute. So let's create a new function for this state. So func move state. So what we're going to do here is basically move our character or our boomer from its place to our new point. Okay? So to do that, let's create here no. Let's give the velocity a value here. So velocity is equal to our position, that direction to, okay, our position, direction to our new point. Go to the new point, get the direction, and normalize it. Normalize, and it's going to be times by our speed. And after that, let's use the velocity and use the move and slide function and pass the velocity as well. Now, as if we run our program right now, it's going to look like this. I don't even know what the result is, but yeah, that is the result. Our player moves, and it moves down, I guess. So the thing is, we're going to randomize the point range here. So to randomize that means it's not exactly going 500 by 500. No. Let's not randomize it for now. Let's go here at the velocity, and if our position that if our position this distance to our new point is less than 5, we are going to change our state to point range. So that means let's try to print our position not direction to, distance to. So let's try to print our distance for now. So let's check if we can have a distance of like something. So as you can see here, the distance from a big number, and it becomes smaller number. So we can actually check that like this. So if it's less than 5, so now it's 19. So if it's less than 5, then go to point range, select a new random point again, and then go to move range, and it's going to move again. But it's not going to move for now because it's not going to get less than 5, right? And our enemy, as you can see, our boomer enemy only move from this place to this place, even if we are randoming, if we use randomize in the calculations there. So to do that, to not do that, let's go declare something in the ready function. It's randomize method, and it's going to randomize the result of calculations in that. As you can see there. Yeah. So after going to that, it needs to be calculated again, but nothing happens there. So let's see the problem there. Yeah. So it's supposed to be if it's less than 5, it's going to point range state again. No, not point range. It's supposed to be select point state. Okay, that's wrong. Okay, so after it goes to the point, it's going to select a new point again. But then if it's stuck, because we have the collision, if it's stuck, we're going to create a mechanism that will make it change its position, no, its new point, uh, even if it doesn't reach the distance to to less than 5. Okay, to do that, we are going to add a new node to our boomer, and it's going to be a timer node. It's going to be change point timer. Here we have our time. Let's set that as 5 seconds. So after selecting a new point, and if it doesn't reach the point, whether it reach and doesn't reach the point, we're going to change its new point after 5 seconds. So here, let's configure that. Here, new point. Here, we are going to start our timer. So let's first instantiate our timer. On ready, var change point is equal to change point timer. Select that, put it here, and then start the timer. Now, when you start the timer, we need to check if the timer is reach its timeout. So just click the node there on the right side and connect it to your boomer script. Now here, if it reached the time 5 seconds, it doesn't reach its point, we're going to select a new point. So we're just going to state select point again. Okay, let's try to know the results. As you can see there. So 1, 2, okay, 4. So it's changing. It's not going to stop. The only position that is available right now is like from here and to here. It's going back and forth. And to not do that, we're going to randomize something. So here, let's delete this print. We are only giving our character either positive 500 or negative 500, right? So what we're going to do here is use a randy. So randy percent add the point range plus 1. It's going to randomize from 0 to point range, which is 500. No, 200. So it's going to randomize the result from 0 to 200. No, from 1 to 200 because we add 1 here. So it's from 1 to 200. So here we're also going to use the randy. So that way, it's all set. The randomizer of the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Select a new. Why it's not selecting a new point? Okay, let's try again. As you can see there, it's not selecting a new point after 5 seconds. No, let's go here. Let's debug this. So it's going to select 200 from this init. It's going to either minus 200 or add 200, minus 200 or add. No, minus 200 or add 200. Let's try to move this to empty space. Let's look at that. As you can see, it's going to be like that. After going to the point, it's going to go to the another point, but it's not going to go anywhere um anywhere, over the range of 200. It's going to go to the range of 200 there. What a creepy enemy we have created there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 5 seconds from the start of creating a new point. It's going to start the timer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to select a new point again, go to there. So if you want to extend the range of the monster, of the boomer, just edit the point range here. So you can make it 1000. It's going to have a longer range. The only problem is your timer is only 5 seconds. So even if it's 1000, after 5 seconds, if it doesn't reach its point, it's going to change a new point. It's going to go there. So if it doesn't change like this, I guess it's giving its point here. That is why it's not changing its point. So a little bit laggish because of the recording. No, it is a bug, I guess. So let's look for our code here. Let's set this to 200. Let's try to print something here at the time. Okay. Hello. So if we print our time every time our timer starts, we're going to have a good result. The only problem with this is our enemy now doesn't stop moving. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the time activated there. If it doesn't reach its point, the time is going to activate after 5 seconds. Okay, so it's not going to stuck to one place. I don't know why it's stuck here, but I guess no. 1, 5, yeah, that's a good thing. So you can create a new time for like staying a single place. Alright, you can create the time. So for instance, if you are in the move state and if the position distance to the new point is less than 5, you can just stop here for some time and then start your selecting point again. You can do that if you want. Okay, so let's create a new thing for our enemy boomer. So let's go here. Let's add a child node. It's going to be area 2D. We are going to detect our player using the area 2D. So this area 2D will be our detector. It's going to have a collision shape 2D. Now our detector will be circle and it's going to like this big, right? That's it. And then it's going to detect here it's going to detect a body, connect to our script, and here it's going to get the value of the player. So I'm going to go here and var player, declare variable there, and if the body name is equal to player, if it's our player, we're going to set our body to the player. Okay, so there's a 2 equals for using conditionals. So there, when we detect our player, what we're going to do is put the value of the body to the player variable, and then let's change our state to the last state, which is the chase. Okay, so here we're going to create a new function, which is chase state, and then we're gonna go calculate few more things here. So let's get the player direction. So var player position to player dot global position, and after that we're going to calculate the velocity. So velocity is equal to position direction to, and our new direction is not in the new point, but this, the player position. We are going to go to the player. Okay, so we're going to go to the player, and then we're going to get the direction. So it's either a velocity of negative and positive 1. Okay, and then we're going to normalize that, and after that let's times the speed, and we have the velocity. Now let's move. Okay, so velocity is equal to move and slide, and we'll have it. It's going to have a value of the velocity, or so. Now if we are detected by the enemy, let's see what happens. Oh, it's not declared on the it's not declared on the here. Okay, so let's declare that. Let's be detected by the enemy, as you can see there. Right, but after 5 seconds it stops chasing us, because it will activate, after 5 seconds it will change its state to select point, and our chase state is not going to be executed here. So what we're going to do is, if our player is detected by the boomer, we're going to stop the time of our point timer. Alright, so here we're going to stop the time. So point timer. What is the name of that variable? Doesn't declare here, so let's declare that. I thought I've declared that earlier when we use the here select point move state. Change point. This is the one. We are starting there, so here we're going to stop the timer, so it won't change the state when we are being chased by our enemy. So for now, if we have detected by the enemy, it's going to chase us wherever we want, wherever we went. Okay, but we can actually use this as glitch. What? Like, admin, fix this. We are going off the map. Like, alright. So we are going to code if we are outside of the detector of the enemy. It's going to stop chasing us. So here, detector, go to the node, and body exited, disconnect that, and same condition here. The only thing is, if a player get exited by the detector, what we're going to do is to set the state to point. No, select point. Yeah, this state. Okay, so it's going to leave as if we get out of its range. So you can adjust its range. So it could be a larger range if you want. And the speed also. The speed here. Here at the chase, you can times the speed by 10 if you want. No, 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 no. Let's just add something to the speed. 50. If it's chasing us. Okay. And then let's adjust the range of its detector. The next thing that we are going to do is to create an animation. Oops. Okay, so let's put this into parentheses. Oops. What's going on? Okay. So now it's a little bit faster and the range of its detector is also big. So even if we are far from it, it still detects us. All right, detects us. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is create an animation of the boomer. Okay, so we want our animation to be a particles. You can add your animation as sprite sheet, but I'm not gonna do that in this video. I'm just going to have an amount of 500. We can see it dripping there later. Time of like 2 seconds. And here the process material, let's add our process material. Ooh. Now let's do some emission shape. Going to emit from a sphere. It also is a big sphere. And then the gravity, put 0 in the gravity. It's going to be like something like that. And here the scale, let's say it's going to be 50. No, not 50. 30, I guess. Like that. And here the color, let's create a new gradient for the color. Okay. So I want this to look like fire. Okay, to look like a fire. There, let's get rid of this white. Cool fire. There. Wait. Okay. So let's also go to the scale. Let's add a curved texture here. So this is just it's all let's make this be smaller here. So it will be like something like that. Now it becomes smaller, as you can see there. It becomes smaller by time, right? So that's what we want. We also want it to orbit a little bit. So 0.1. I guess it's too much. How about 001? No, it's 0. Okay. Yeah, something like that. But it doesn't really look like fire, right? How about initial velocity of 1? Yeah. So that's it. That's our particles there. So we need to add an area to our wait for a while. Yeah, let's add an area 2D again. And let's add a collision shape. So this will deal damage to our player, right? So we're just going to activate it like we're going to give it time. So this collision shape is not going to be activated by default. So it's going to activate when we emit the animation from particles. So it's going to be disabled. True, and the particles is also not going to emit. Alright? So if our boomer detects our player, it will have its timer. Like in 2 seconds, it's going to make itself um, you know the boomer is a bomb, right? Make itself go kaboom. All right, so boom. Okay, and then it's only 2 seconds. So here at the script, when our so we don't really have a time for a player to not be chased by our boomer. Let's get rid of that. Here, let's stop the time and let's start another time. So to start another time, let's declare the time first. Here the onReadyVar boom time is equal to boom. Let's start that boom time start, and if it's finished after 2 seconds, we're going to execute our animation for that, and also the area 2D. So it's going to be enemy hitbox, right? So it's only going to be detected by the player. So it's going to let's add a new physics enemy hitbox. All right, and here it belongs to oops it belongs to enemy hitbox, and we are going to create an area in the player later on that will detect the hitbox of the enemy. So the hitbox of the enemy is not going to detect anything, but it will be detected by the player. Okay, the player is the one who's going to detect the hitbox of the enemy. Okay, so after our kaboom timeout, then we are going to execute the animation of our particles, and we are going to enable our collision shape that is by default disabled. Okay, so let's add a new node. It's called animation player node, and here let's create a new animation. It's going to be boom. Let's just call it boom. And then here let's add some properties from the particles. Let's add the emitting properties, and let's give it a value of on. So when we start this animation, it's going to emit the particles. It's also going to enable our collision shape for our hitbox. So we have a time of 3 seconds, and after 2 seconds, we are going to disable this. Control D, change the value here. Click this, Control D, and we are going to disable the collision shape. Alright, so here at our script, let's declare our animation player. So onReadyVar anim player is equal to animation player, and here at the timer, when the 2 seconds, after the 2 seconds, we are going to play the boom animation, and we are going to use the yield method. So basically, yield is a block statement. So we're going to pass the anim players as its first parameter, and then choose the animation finish. Now, the purpose of this is, if we have code here at the bottom, it's not going to execute the code here if the animation is not finished. So after finishing the animation that we play here, it's going to execute the next codes here. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, after we execute all of the animation in the boom animation, we're going to queue free our boomer. Basically, we're deleting the boomer from the world scene. Alright, so let's check that. When you detect 1, 2, that's going to be deleted. Right? So by default, it's not supposed to be giving the particles an emitting signal, and it is disabled by default. So now when you start, it's just a normal day, and 1, 2, boom. Right? So the things that we're going to do here, what? Yeah, let's disable the body. Let's disable. Here we have the detector. Let's disable this. Okay, disconnect. So we need our boomer. So after it detects and the timeout runs 2 seconds and the timeout, it will stop its processing. So it will stop moving. So set process to false. Is that process? Select physics process. I don't know. Let's see. Physics process to false. So it will stop moving. It will it will play the animation. It will stop moving, and after the animation is played, it's going to get rid of itself. Let's see. Let's see. So 1, 2, stop, boom, and then get rid of itself. Right? So the thing that is bugging me for now is the particles. The particles time is too much. It's set it as 1.5, and then when our boomer emits when our boomer plays its boom animation, it still is in there. The animated sprite is still in there. So we want to get rid of that as well. For example, there. So it's still there. And we want to get rid of that. So to get rid of that, we are going to add a new node to our boomer boomer here. It's called twin node. So this node is basically just for making an animation in a single single node and its single property. We can also use the animation player here, but I want to introduce this node because this is very interesting. So here I'm going to change the name of it to shrinking. Yes. And what I'm going to do is to declare that, instantiate that here at our script. So on ready var shrink is equal to shrinking. And here, when we play our animation from our anim player, we are also going to play we're going to create an animation here. So interpolate property is the method. The first parameter is the object that we are going to interpolate its property. So it's onReady var, and it's the anim sprite here. So we have the anim sprite there. So if you don't know what anim sprite is, it is our animation sprite there. What our particles it's emitting shouldn't have emitted signal. Disabled there. This is our animated sprite, and what we're going to do is go to its transform, its scale, and make the scale 0. It's basically going to shrink into nothingness, right? So let's go here. Let's interpolate the property of our anim sprite. What property we're going to interpolate? It's the scale property. The next parameter is the initial value, which is the anim sprite that scale. And the next is the finish value. Alright, so we're going to declare variables here. Finish val, or the final value. It's going to become a vector2 dot 0. Going to pass it here. And the next is the duration. So var duration float. It's going to have a duration of 1 second. Let's pass that there. And after that, what animation are you going to execute? Let's choose this bounce. And then after that, what transition? It's going to start as slow, or it's going to be slow and fast, or it's going to be fast, or it's going to be fast and slow. So just choose this slow, ease in. And after all of that code, you're just going to start that. So shrink dot start. And let's see what we've got. So 1, 2, boom. So as you can see, it shrinks down. It's so good, right? So good. So the next thing that we're going to do is create a thing to our player. It's called the hurt box. So as you can remember, we are giving our enemy hitbox the layer of enemy hitbox, right? So what we're going to do is go to the player, create a hurt box that will detect the enemy hitbox. So here, let's add a area 2D. It's going to be player hurt box. It's going to have its collision shape 2D, and the collision shape is just going to be how big our player is. Alright. Now, if it detects, if our player, okay, let's configure the collision first. It's going to be at the layer nothing. It's going to mask layer enemy hitbox. So the boomer should be at the layer enemy hitbox so that we can detect that in the player node. So let's select the area 2D. Let's go for the area entered. So if we detect an area, we're going to check if that's the area that we want to detect, and then we can do something. So select that, connect that to our script, and here we are going to select the area. Name is equal to enemy hitbox, and then after that, we are going to change our position to something. Or let's say for now, let's print the area that name. Oops. Okay. The name is supposed to be enemy hitbox, but let's just detect it. Detect that. So boom. As you can see there, enemy hitbox. It's only going to be detected whenever we enable the collision shape here. It's being enabled in the animation player. So right, that is the purpose of animation player. One of the things that you need to consider when you're going to make a game. So let's back to the player, the test world. Let's add here a new node. It's going to be our respawn area. So add child node. It's going to be node 2D. And let's move this to here. Basically, if we die, we're just going to respawn from here. It's going to be respawn point. Doesn't do anything to the game. And what we're going to do is go to the player, go to the script, and if we have been in the enemy hitbox, if we detected that we are in the enemy hitbox, we are going to set our global position to wait, let's get the global position of our respawn. So respawn point is equal to get parent. So the parent is the world scene, and then get parent, get node. What node are we going to get? It's the respawn point. A respawn point, it's only a variable. Respawn point dot global position. Now, if we are hit by the enemy hitbox, it detected that we are hit by that, we're going to get the parent, the world, and get its node respawn point, get the respawn point global position, and um, change the global position of the player to the global position of the respawn point. We're just going to teleport to the respawn point, right? That's it. So, in the next video, I'm going to put some things here, like a health UI that you can only respawn for limited times, and we can also put the menu if you want. Some cutscenes, I don't know how to make that, but I'm going to try my best. If you like the video, you can like the video. You can subscribe to the channel if it helps you. That's it. That's the end. Thank you, guys.